co-loaders, any kind of towable equipment, tractors, generators, excavators, even landscape equipment. I'm not sure if you rent landscape equipment, but certainly landscape contractors get hit quite often. By manufacturer, John Deere is the #1 manufacturer for stolen equipment, with Kubota and Caterpillar right behind it. Bobcat is the #1 skid steer stolen, but when you combine everything, John Deere still tops the list. All this statistical information, if you let us know afterwards, and there's probably a commenting section after this, I can get you what we call our theft report. It's a document about 30 pages. I can email it to anybody that's on this conference call. Just let us know when we're done. Why is heavy equipment stolen? Well, as we can see, it's easy to sell and there's very little risk. Unfortunately, law enforcement has better things to do. That's the truth. If they're chasing a murderer, they're not going to be looking for your skid steer that's been stolen or lost. What NER does is we try to train law enforcement to look for the signals, to look for the signs that a piece of equipment has been stolen. We try to impel law enforcement to not only look at the trailer that has a broken tail light, but to look at that piece of equipment that's on the trailer. And the National Equipment Register actually has a 24/7 hotline manned with NICD agents, and we have recovered over $20 million worth of equipment and helped law enforcement with their recovery efforts. Equipment is very easy to steal. There are keys that you can buy on eBay. If you go to eBay and look up construction equipment keys, for about $35, you can get a key ring. And if anybody has seen me in person, and I do most of the major trade shows, I actually carry the ring of keys around with me, and you can find the keys to your equipment on my key ring. It's easy to sell as well because there's no receipts, there's no registration process with construction equipment. So unfortunately, there's no paper trail. With a regular vehicle, there is the Division of Motor Vehicles, and you have to register your vehicle. With construction equipment, the only database, or I'm not going to say the only, but the largest database is the National Equipment Database. And we've got 20 million records and close to 100,000 stolen theft records on our database. Why is it stolen and not recovered? Again, patrol officers are not examining the machines because they think all construction equipment is yellow. They think it's all called a Bobcat or a Caterpillar. There's no DMV records, and it's pretty much a low priority. Many equipment theft recoveries come because the person that owns the equipment has installed GPS or LoJack. And we'll talk a little bit more about those two methods of recovery, but certainly both of those are great methods of recovery. It's estimated 10 to 15% of stolen equipment is recovered. Again, why is it not recovered? Because law enforcement just doesn't have the information that they need. When you go to report something stolen, you need to make sure that the serial number is correct. And you should be providing your renters with the serial number and have a process in place so that your clients, your renters, know how to report something stolen. It's estimated that 40 to 50% of equipment theft is reported incorrectly with bad serial numbers and bad VIN numbers. Unfortunately, law enforcement, when you make a theft report, it could take them a day to get out to you, so you need to be active and you need to get into the police department. And then the dispatch person entering this information, they sometimes enter it incorrectly and they put it in as an article instead of a vehicle. If your equipment goes into the NICD or FDIC computer system as an article, your LoJack will not be activated. You need to make sure that your information is entered properly so that law enforcement has the correct serial number, when they make a stop, they can match the report to the piece of equipment, and they can make an arrest or at least detain the person to see if that is, in fact, the piece of equipment. If your serial number doesn't match, law enforcement does not have to detain those people if you're off. Oftentimes, serial numbers are reported. It could say 123, and it's reported as 128 because the correct information was not given to the renter. So you do need to know that. They're running incorrect numbers. Fraudulent ID is undiscovered. One of the things that NER does is we send out theft alerts and fraud alerts. As a matter of fact, we just sent one a couple of days ago. There seems to be something going on between Texas and New Mexico and California, and there's a group of thieves. They seem to be connected, and they've been using false IDs. We actually sent out information. Again, after this, we can do a follow-up email, and I could send you a link so that you can start getting these fraud alerts if you're not already getting them. Thefts are misreported, again, because incorrect PIN numbers, or they're not entered at all because you don't report it or your client doesn't report it to you quickly enough. One of the things that we certainly recommend is that you meet your law enforcement officials before you need them. And we at NER can certainly help you meet local authorities. We can hook you up with your local law enforcement or your NICB person. And NICB is an organization of about 175 former police officers and FBI agents, and all they focus on is construction equipment theft and car theft. That is their focus. They actually use our database to do recovery, so NER is involved. They answer the phones 24/7 and use the NER information to be able to help law enforcement. You want to join business groups. You want to get to know your law enforcement officials before you need them. Have them to lunch. You know, offer to do a theft summit in your store. We could send, oftentimes we can send law enforcement to you, and you can train your employees, and you can invite your local law enforcement as well. Physical security is something that I'm sure you guys are preparing your sites. Oftentimes equipment is stolen right from the rental yard. So you want to make sure that you have secure websites and you protect your equipment. We'll talk a little bit about locks and alarms as well. Site security. Obviously, the obvious is most important. You want to have warning signs and lights in your facility. Ask the person that you're renting from, you know, how are you going to protect my equipment? With fencing and barriers, are there gates, are there locks? And we're going to talk a little bit about specific kinds of things that are available. This is a picture of fencing. We usually do recommend a chain link fence, but you do want to make sure that the fence is actually locked. There was a scam going on, and this is quite a story, where we had a client who was complaining that every weekend his site was getting ripped off, and he couldn't understand because they locked all the gates, they made sure of it, but what happened is, in the morning, when his employees came in, they would undo the lock and leave the lock hanging on a chain. Well, what he didn't realize is, on Friday afternoons, the thief would come onto the job site in an orange vest, just like all the rest of his employees, take off the lock and put on his own lock. So at the end of the day, the legitimate employee locked the gates and left. The thief came back and had a party over the weekend and was able to go through the site, pick and choose what he wanted, and when he was done, he put back on the lock that was owned by the construction company. This is just a scam that went on, and it took the police about 3 weeks of this happening where they actually manned somebody there and figured out what was going on. This is common sense, and it's just something that you can do to help your guys, help your clients protect their equipment and protect your yards as well. Simple thing, and I'm not making fun of United Rentals here, they left the equipment with the keys in it. That makes it even simpler for the thief. If a thief wants your equipment, unless you've got an immobilizing locking system on it, or you've taken the wires off, chances are he's going to get it. But these contractors, somebody rented this equipment from United Rentals, and they left the keys right in the ignition. So certainly you want to come up with a plan for the people that are renting from you. Securing equipment, as you'll see this all the time on a job site where you've got big equipment with the small equipment, the more vulnerable equipment in the center. Insurance companies, insurance agents will say, well, you know what, if one catches on fire, all three of them are going to burn. Law enforcement says it's a great thing to line it up. Our comment to that, you want to show a thief, and you want your clients to show thieves that they care about their equipment and that they're doing something about it. Lining it up just shows that you're organized. Chances are they're going to go to the next construction site that has 3 pieces scattered all over the yard, as opposed to this, which looks like a nice, orderly construction site. This is one of the products that we really like. They come to most of our theft summits, and just a little bit about theft summits. As an equipment owner, you can attend a National Equipment Register Theft Summit. There is no charge for that. ARA members are always welcome, and ARA will actually promote these theft summits in your area, as does Allied. If you want more information about theft summits, again, afterwards I'll give my email address. Just shoot me an email with any of the information that you want afterwards, and I'll provide it for you. Our next theft summit is in Los Angeles on the 18th, which is next Thursday. Totally free of charge. You're welcome to come. They run from 8 in the morning till 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We even feed you lunch, and it's a great networking opportunity. You meet other equipment owners, people in the insurance business, and local law enforcement. After that, we're going to be in Springfield, Missouri. The Equipment Lock Company provides locking skid steer locks and different equipment locks, and these are just pictures of a couple of the different kinds of locks that they provide. They range from like $100 to $150, and they're being used by a lot of rental yards because they have some that are programmable. So that is, that is something that certainly you may want to check into. It's called the Equipment Lock Company. GPS, and this is just a slide of one of our GPS providers. We certainly recommend GPS. A lot of companies will even pre-install it. John Deere pre-installs Qualcomm. John Deere also has DeerTrax. Caterpillar has their own system. Volvo has their systems. So certainly if you're ordering new equipment, you can order GPS. You may not want to order it for your entire fleet, but certainly for your most vulnerable pieces of equipment, for your skid steers, really good idea. GPS not only will tell you where your equipment is, but can measure hours and oil consumption, etc. LoJack is another option. If you are within LoJack territory, they cover about 7 out of 10 people in the United States, coverage-wise. LoJack is an RF technology, and the benefit with LoJack is that the law enforcement people in your area actually do the recovery. Their recovery rates are about 80%. It's probably the least expensive type of recovery system. GPS will cost you about $500 for a box or for the hardware, and then a monthly fee. LoJack, I believe, is at $895, and it's a one-time fee. LoJack also has a GPS product. And these are just 3 of them. Make sure if you are going to the ARA show that you stop by the ARA booth in the heavy construction area, and I will be there, and I will have a list of construction resources, different GPS companies, the information about LoJack, information about the Equipment Lock Company, to give you a guide of things that we don't endorse, but we can give you more information on. So I'll list 10 GPS companies and several different locking systems and video systems. Effective use of data. One of the things that we do at NER is that we record serial numbers. We do frequent inventory checks, and we certainly recommend that your people report the thefts immediately and accurately. We always recommend that an equipment owner uses an owner-applied number. Most of you probably do already. You would use it, you call it an IC number, you call it an inventory control number or an equipment number. One thing that law enforcement can do is they can look with a pair of binoculars into a field, and they might be able to see your equipment number on the side of the piece of equipment more than they can see the serial number, which is that little tiny plate, the pin plate that's on the side of your equipment. If you're registered on the NER database, and all ARA members can register their equipment at no charge on the NER database, if you are insured through Allied, you will also get a waiver of your theft deductible. That is information, and we'll go over that in a few minutes again, but that's information that law enforcement really needs. There is no database for law enforcement to go to figure out who owns a piece of equipment if it's not listed on the NER database. And again, you can do it for free as an ARA member, and Allied members will get a waiver of theft deductible if they do register their equipment and there's a loss and a non-recovery. You want to make sure that law enforcement has this information. Oftentimes somebody will register their equipment on the database and it will be matched up to something that's already been found. And it's sitting in a warehouse somewhere or in a repo lot that law enforcement has recovered and they didn't know who owned it. So that's pretty important. We also recommend that you check before you buy used equipment. And NER has a product called Iron Check, where we run a background check on your equipment. There is a small fee involved for that. I think it's $35 or $40. It's the website for that is called ironcheck.com. Again, shoot me an email at the end of the webinar, and I can get you more information on Iron Check. Here's just a little bit more information about the owner-applied numbers. We recommend that you not only have a decal on it, but you put an owner-applied number on the side of your equipment. Oftentimes you're going to see this blue decal, and that means that you are registered with NER. Most of the big rental fleets register their equipment with us, and many insurers do waive theft deductibles. Again, Allied, with their program that they have with their rental companies, is placed with the Hartford, and they do waive your, Fireman's Fund, and they do waive your theft deductible. ARA members, again, can register up to 1,000 pieces of equipment for free. And if you're at the ARA rental show, you can come see me. I can register you there, or shoot me an email, and I'll get you registered right on the phone. This is the information from Fireman's Fund. And again, Allied places their paper with Fireman's Fund. They will honor the waiver of deductible. ARA members can register for free. They don't always get a waived deductible. It depends on who your insurance company is. And that's up to $10,000 waived deductible for any occurrence. These are our three symbols, our health check signal, and this, the blue decal is what you're going to see. It's funny, wherever I go, I'm always looking for the blue decal, and I have seen it on some strange places. I was down at a conference in southern Texas and went on to the USS Lexington, which is one of the old battleships, and I was with somebody from one of the major construction companies in the United States, and we were just kind of touring the ship, and we found an RSC generator with a light tower on it, or light tower behind some ropes, and we climbed under the ropes, and there was the NER decal. I mean, right there for everyone to see, and the guy that I was with actually worked for Perini, and they decided they were going to register their equipment on the database. Somebody from ARA was actually walking down the street in Las Vegas and saw two generators behind a fence, and they both had NER decals. So you'll see them all over the place, and we're happy about that. I hope I've answered some questions for you. We can provide a lot of information for you. The key here is make sure that your clients know how to report something stolen. Make sure that you have an accurate listing of your serial numbers. That is of utmost importance. Remember, 40–50% of equipment is reported incorrectly. Again, register your equipment on the NER database. It's free for ARA members and the waived deductible for any allied clients. I think that's about it. 28 minutes. It was perfect timing. Does anybody have any questions?
I'm actually getting ready to open up the lines here so that we can hear everyone. So if you do have questions, okay, everybody's unmuted now. So if you have a question, let's take the time and take advantage. Stacy knows her stuff. Anyone have any questions for Stacy?
I guess you're all experts.
I guess, yeah. That was, you covered everything.
Is anyone going to be coming to the rental show? Okay. Does anybody? Excuse me?
I'm not sure. Can you guys? Can we hear them? I'm not sure if there's a problem.
I feel like I'm on Star Wars.
Yeah, I'm not sure what. Okay, well, thank you everyone for attending today. And as you can see on the screen, if you have any further questions, you can contact Stacy, and her email address is skaufman@nerusa.com. Her number is 561-843-3753. Or you can contact Allied if you have questions about our program. We do waive the theft deductible. So if you have questions about our rental equipment insurance program, please contact Jeff McGeary at jmcgery@allied-insbrokers.com. And his number is 1-800-569-9427, extension 229. And you can also visit our website anytime at allied-insbrokers.com. And we do list, we try to do these webinars quarterly, so we hope that you'll be able to join us in the future. I'm going to take control back from you, Stacy, really quickly. I do want, when we close the webinar this afternoon, you're going to have a survey pop up, and if it's only 4 questions, if you would just take a moment to answer those questions. It's a little bit more about what the topics that are important to you, and that helps us as we plan these webinars. So if you just take a moment to answer those 4 questions, we'd appreciate it. And thank you everyone for joining us today. Thank you, Stacy. That was great information. I really appreciate it. Thanks everyone. Take care.